Welcome back to the deep dive. America is often described as this incredible melting pot of cultures, right? This vibrant tapestry woven from countless threads.
It's a powerful image.
It really is. People from literally every corner of the globe have journeyed here, bringing with them not just, their skills and dreams, but something deeper, often invisible, but incredibly powerful. Their stories.
Exactly.
So today we're going on a really fascinating journey, I think. A deep dive into those hidden treasures within the melting pot, the rich, dynamic world of America's immigrant folklore and mythology.
That's precisely. And it's so important to grasp that these aren't just, quaint little tales or simple children's stories just for fun.
Right.
Folklore, particularly when you're talking about immigration, it's much more profound. It really acts as this powerful vessel of identity.
Of this all of identity?
Yeah, like a living container for cultural memory. And the very essence of values that are passed down carefully, sometimes really subtly, through generations. These narratives are like the emotional heartbeat of a community. They echo through time and space, giving people this enduring connection to a homeland that might be thousands of miles away.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to really dig into these tales, the ones carried over from ancestral homelands, how they changed, how they adapted in this new world, and profound ways they still enrich the American cultural tapestry today. We've pulled from a really diverse stack of sources for this deep dive: academic papers, historical accounts, cultural commentaries, personal stories.
A real mix.
Yeah, a real mix. And our aim, as always, is to give you that essential shortcut to being truly well-informed about this vibrant, often kind of overlooked aspect of American culture. Hopefully reveal some surprising things along the way. Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So, okay, to really unpack this, let's start with maybe a basic question. What exactly is folklore when we're talking specifically about immigration?
Right.
Because I think when a lot of people hear folklore, their minds might jump to, I don't know, old wives' tales, maybe just fanciful kids' stories.
Sure, yeah. But for immigrant communities, it sounds like it holds a much deeper, more functional significance.
You've hit on a really crucial distinction there. In this context, folklore is way more than just amusement.
Okay.
It covers those tales that are just brimming with magic, mystery, morals, meaning, narratives often passed down informally.
Orally, mostly.
Mostly orally, yeah, from one generation to the next, sometimes without even really thinking about it. And for immigrants, these stories become absolutely vital. Their main role, really you could say their indispensable role, is to preserve identity and cultural memory, especially when individuals, families find themselves in a totally new environment.
Makes sense.
Often geographically, culturally, just so far removed from their traditional landscapes, their customs. They are, in a very real sense, a kind of portable homeland.
Oh, I like that. Portable homeland.
Yeah, like cultural DNA you can carry anywhere. That instantly conveys the importance, doesn't it? So, building on that idea, what are the core functions? How does this immigrant folklore practically help people not just survive, but really thrive and keep their sense of self in a brand new country?
Well, okay, one of the biggest functions, maybe the most important, is preserving heritage.
Right.
What's fascinating here is how these stories literally act as an anchor, like a lifeline back to the past, especially when everything else feels completely alien.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Imagine arriving somewhere new. The language is different, the customs, even the smells and sounds are just
Totally disorienting.
Exactly. So these narratives give you this direct, almost gut-level connection back to your homeland. They're a powerful way to keep the original language alive, too.
How so?
Well, many tales are told and retold and really savored in the mother tongue.
Ah.
And they transmit core values, what's considered good or bad, brave, foolish, honorable, through the actions and, importantly, the consequences faced by the characters in the stories.
Learning by example, sort of.
Pretty much. And they maintain traditions, maybe through specific rituals mentioned in the stories, or sometimes just by giving people a reason to get together, where the storytelling itself is the main event. It's like this ongoing, active conversation with the past.
And how might this actually show up day to day for immigrant families? Is it just like bedtime stories, or does it seep into their lives in other ways?
No, it's way more expansive than just bedtime stories, although those are definitely a cherished part of it.
Okay.
Think about the proverbs parents might use to guide their kids, little phrases packed with wisdom from old tales.
Right, those little sayings.
Exactly.
Sure.
Or maybe the cautionary stories grandparents share about, mischievous spirits or what happens if you get too greedy. They subtly instill this ethical framework.
Without being preachy.
Right. Even heroic stories, tales of epic journeys, they can inspire resilience when people are facing new challenges in the new land. And these stories often get shared really informally, maybe during meals, long car rides while cooking together, or at big family gatherings. They just become this intrinsic, almost subconscious part of how cultural identity gets reinforced and passed down without needing like formal lessons. They're
Wow.
just woven right into the fabric of daily life,
Yeah,
family interactions across generations.
it's powerful.
And then beyond just heritage, folklore has this really strong role in teaching morals and history.
Mm.
Lots of folk tales, doesn't matter where they're from, carry these deep lessons about life, about ethics, about survival.
Mhm.
They often show you complex problems and what happens, guiding communities through tough times by showing characters who embody certain virtues or, fall prey to vices.
So learning from others' mistakes, mythically speaking.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you could almost call folklore a kind of hidden curriculum.
A hidden curriculum.
Right.
Explain that.
Well, unlike, say, formal school or direct instructions from parents, these stories subtly, almost subconsciously, teach crucial lessons. They teach perseverance through trickster tales, maybe the importance of being generous or the dangers of being arrogant.
Mm.
Not by lecturing, but by showing characters actually dealing with these things.
Ah, I see.
Like, we'll get into Br'er Rabbit later, his lessons in strategy. That's like a masterclass in outwitting powerful enemies without anyone saying, here's lesson one.
Right.
And because it's hidden like that, the lessons really stick. They're incredibly enduring.
That distinction, hidden curriculum, really makes it click. And it's not just about what one person learns, is it? It feels like sharing these stories would also be incredibly powerful for building a community.
Oh, definitely.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
It's not just about individual learning, right? It's about what we learn together and how that collective thing shapes a group.
Precisely. Sharing stories creates this incredibly strong sense of belonging, especially in a new country where people might otherwise feel really isolated or lost. When you share a story, you're not just passing on information. You're sharing a piece of your collective past, a shared worldview. Your humor, your worries, your wins.
Everything.
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Right.
Provides this collective identity, this shared experience that can cut across individual backgrounds or maybe even regional differences from back home.
Like a common ground.
Exactly. It's a powerful statement that says, we get this, we come from this connects us. It creates a bond that can be almost unbreakable, giving comfort, strength, and just mutual recognition when you're facing something unfamiliar or maybe even hostile.
Mm.
And that brings us to another really fascinating aspect, the dynamic nature of folklore, how it's always evolving.
Okay.
This raises a really important question. How does something ancient, a story maybe rooted in traditions thousands of years old, stay relevant? How does it stay vibrant in a fast-changing world and a totally new cultural place?
Good question.
And the answer is, well, it adapts, it evolves. Folklore isn't static. It's not frozen in time. It's a living tradition. It breathes, it shifts with every telling.
So it changes when it comes here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When these stories arrive in America, they don't stay locked in their original box. They blend with American culture. Sometimes they pick up new elements, new characters, maybe new settings, creating these new hybrid stories that reflect both the old and the new identities. This organic adaptation is what ensures they survive and keep resonating with people.
That's really intriguing. So the stories change, they grow, they borrow bits and pieces, but they still somehow hold on to their core meaning or their connection to the original culture. That sounds like a really tricky balance.
It is a delicate balance, yeah. But that's exactly what makes them so resilient, so enduring. The fundamental messages, the universal archetypes, the emotional core, often the moral lessons, those usually stay intact. Even if the surface details shift a bit, or they borrow elements from the new place, maybe a character faces a modern problem, or a setting moves from an ancient forest to, like, a city street. The essence is still there.
Like a river.
Exactly. It's like a river that changes its course slightly over time or picks up new bits of dirt along the way, but it's still fundamentally the same river flowing from the same source. That adaptability is absolutely key to their vitality in a new land.
That's a perfect analogy. Okay, now let's really start our journey across the globe and see how these incredible stories actually manifest. Let's begin with those vibrant echoes from Europe, maybe from the Emerald Isles over to the Mediterranean shores.
Sounds good.
And when we think of Irish folklore, I mean, one figure just immediately springs to mind, right? recognized pretty much everywhere, the leprechaun.
Oh, definitely.
Everyone seems to have this image of a leprechaun, but what's the actual, maybe deeper folklore behind this little guy?
The leprechaun is, yeah, without a doubt, globally famous. And that's largely thanks to the huge cultural presence of Irish immigrants, especially here in the U.S.
Right.
In traditional Irish folklore, a leprechaun is a solitary creature, usually quite mischievous, a type of fairy being.
Solitary, not like groups of them.
Generally solitary, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost always depicted as small, often a bit grumpy, actually.
Oh, okay.
And most famously, master shoemakers. That's their trade.
Shoemakers, really?
Yep. The legends say they hoard these immense pots of gold, often hidden at the end of rainbows. And if you're lucky, or maybe just persistent enough to catch one, they have to grant you 3 wishes to get their freedom back.
The classic 3 wishes.
Exactly. Their symbolism originally was kind of complex. It was a mix of luck, sure, but also quite a bit of mischief. Finding one was lucky, yeah, but dealing with their cunning, their trickery, that could be risky business.
So not just cute and cuddly.
Not originally.
Yeah.
No. And what's really insightful about the leprechaun's journey to America is how its image changed.
How?
In Ireland, like I said, often solitary, sometimes even a bit menacing, fiercely guarding their ancient treasures. But through the lens of Irish immigration, and especially through the huge, very public, communal celebration of St. Patrick's Day in the U.S.,
Okay.
the leprechaun evolved. It became this more universally friendly, almost whimsical symbol of good fortune, something easily grabbed onto by mainstream American culture.
Interesting.
And that big shift really tells you a lot about how immigrant communities sometimes adapt and present their cultural heritage in a new place. Maybe softening it, simplifying it a bit for broader acceptance. It shows that dynamic negotiation of identity we were talking about.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And beyond the leprechaun, charming but complicated, Irish folklore is just packed with other supernatural beings. A whole rich tapestry.
Like what?
Well, you have the AOC, or fairies,
Mm.
often elegant but could be dangerous, demanding respect, very unpredictable.
Right.
Then there are the mournful banshees, whose eerie wails supposedly foretell a death in the family.
Chillin' stuff.
Definitely chilling. And various shape-shifting pukas or eerie changelings who test how vigilant humans are.
Mm-hmm.
What's crucial here is these aren't just spooky stories or fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
Each one carries important moral lessons, usually rooted in this older, nature-connected way of seeing the world.
Lessons
Like a deep respect for nature. Warnings against disturbing ancient sites or showing disrespect to the land and its unseen inhabitants.
Okay.
They also warn against human flaws, pride, greed, thinking you know better.
Mm.
Often characters who show those traits get punished with bad luck or worse.
Got it.
And these stories have been just magnificently preserved and celebrated in America, especially through communal festivals like St. Patrick's Day.
Right, we mentioned that.
During those celebrations, the mythic elements, the shamrocks, the green clothes, they're not just symbols. They become part of this wider cultural party that embraces these fantastical bits, almost reenacting a collective identity that goes beyond generations, even beyond just people with Irish roots.
So the party itself keeps the myths alive.
The communal part of the celebration is absolutely key to keeping them vital. It turns these abstract stories into living, shared experiences.
It really is amazing how a big, fun celebration like St. Patrick's Day can be such a powerful engine for keeping these ancient myths not just alive, but actually vibrant and relevant for new generations. Does that communal reenactment, that shared experience, does it play an even bigger role in cementing the stories in a new culture than maybe just individual storytelling?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say the communal aspect is paramount. While, yes, individual storytelling preserves the actual narrative, the words, collective celebration gives it tangible sensory experiences. The music, the food, the parades, the shared laughter, all that stuff creates this multi-sensory anchor for the stories.
Makes them real, in a way.
Exactly. Makes them accessible, appealing, even to people who might not sit down and hear the story told quietly. It shifts you from just passively listening to actively participating. And that forges this collective memory that can bridge cultural divides and make sure the myths keep resonating. It really makes the folklore a living, breathing part of the social fabric.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so from the mischievous, evolving figures of Ireland, our deep dive through Europe keeps going. Let's move now to the warm, sunny shores of the Mediterranean. Here, in Italian immigrant communities, folklore often seems to blend these ancient Roman echoes with a very distinct Catholic charm. And around the holidays, one particular figure gets mentioned a lot, a really beloved one, La Befana. She almost sounds like a kind of parallel to Santa Claus, doesn't she?
She absolutely does, yeah, but with her own incredibly distinct charm and a really unique backstory. La Befana is deeply popular in Italian-American communities, especially around the Epiphany, January 6th. She's usually shown as a kindly, often soot-covered, old witch, but witch in the older sense, not necessarily evil.
Okay.
And much like Santa, she visits children on Epiphany Eve, that's January 5th, the night before, bringing gifts and sweets to the good kids. And yes, a symbolic lump of coal or maybe dark candy to the naughty ones.
Gotta have the coal.
Right. And what's truly fascinating about Italian immigrant myths generally is this seamless blend. You get classical mythology, pre-Christian folk beliefs, and Catholic traditions all mixed together.
How does that work?
Well, you often find tales that seem to echo ancient Roman gods or nature spirits or old farming rites, right alongside stories of Christian saints and miracles. It's all woven into this rich narrative fabric.
Wow.
La Befana herself is a perfect example of this syncretism. Her name probably comes from the word epiphania, for epiphany.
Makes sense.
And her story usually tells of an old woman who, initially, refused to go with the three wise men on their journey to see the baby Jesus. Different versions say she was too busy cleaning or didn't think it was important, but later she deeply regretted it. So now, consumed by remorse, she searches for him endlessly, leaving gifts for all the children she meets, hoping one of them might be the Christ child.
That's actually quite poignant.
It is. And these tales, they profoundly reflect themes of faith, obviously, but also redemption, generosity, and maybe most importantly, the unbreakable bond of family. They act as this incredibly powerful way of tying immigrants back to a deep cultural heritage, connecting their present lives in America to centuries of Italian history and tradition. What's really enduring here is the constant focus on faith and family ties as these central pillars. Identity, resilience, community, it all comes back to that.
Right.
Stories reinforce values like mutual support within the community, respecting your elders, the importance of hospitality, and just how critical those intergenerational connections are. They often show characters facing trials and eventually triumphing, highlighting how these virtues help you navigate a complex world.
So what does this mean for keeping that identity going, especially for younger generations, maybe kids growing up far from Italy? It sounds like these stories are incredibly vital in not losing that deep connection to their roots, especially when they get shared during holidays, family gatherings, that kind of thing.
Exactly. That's precisely it. When families gather for Christmas, for Epiphany, Easter, other big dates, these stories aren't just passively told. They're often actively reenacted, in a sense.
How do you mean?
Through the specific traditions, the special foods they eat, the rituals that go along with the holiday site, these things are often tied directly to the stories.
Okay.
So the act of sharing the narratives in that familiar, warm setting transforms them into a living memory. It becomes this shared cultural experience that ensures the language, the values, the customs, they keep resonating with younger generations, even if they've never actually been to Italy.
It keeps it real for them.
Yeah. It's this constant, comforting reminder of where they come from and who they are. It gives them a vital sense of continuity, of belonging that goes way beyond just geography. They teach, they entertain, and maybe most powerfully, they connect.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It makes the whole idea of identity feel very real, very tangible. Okay, let's shift continents now and delve into the incredibly resilient voices of African American narratives. The history here is particularly tough, obviously, with stories carried through immense hardship. It's really a testament to the power of the human spirit.
Indeed, it truly is. The folklore of the African American community is profoundly rooted in the incredibly rich storytelling traditions of the African continent itself.
Right.
These traditions were carried over, against all odds, through the painful, horrific, brutal history of slavery across the Middle Passage, and then adapted and preserved in this new, often terrifyingly hostile land.
Just amazing they survived it all.
It is. The sheer resilience, the ingenuity, the defiant hope woven into these narratives. It's truly remarkable. These stories served not just as, a form of entertainment in lives that often had very little joy, but as an absolutely essential way to preserve identity, to teach crucial lessons for survival in a system designed to strip people of their very humanity, and to foster hope in situations that must have seemed utterly hopeless. They often contain coded messages, allegories that only those who shared the experience could fully understand.
Wow. And one of the most universally known figures from this tradition has got to be Br'er Rabbit.
Br'er Rabbit, yes.
What's really captivating about him is this image of a cunning rabbit taking on bigger, much more powerful foes. What's the fundamental essence, the deeper meaning behind those stories?
Br'er Rabbit is, yeah, arguably one of those iconic and enduring African-American folk characters. He's consistently shown as clever, cunning, exceptionally resourceful, always using his wit, his intelligence, his trickery to outsmart and overcome larger, physically stronger adversaries like Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Brer Wolf.
The classic nemesis.
Exactly. But this isn't just a simple animal story, obviously. It's a profound, multi-layered metaphor for the resilience, the intelligence, the subversive ingenuity of enslaved people facing brutal oppression.
Right.
These narratives allowed people to express their frustrations with their situation and, maybe more importantly, to imagine scenarios where the weak could actually triumph over the strong. Just through cleverness and sharp thinking, it provided a vital psychological release, a source of hope.
A way to fight back, metaphorically.
In a way, yes. And these tales, passed down mostly by word of mouth, generation to generation, often in secret but sometimes right out in the open,
Yeah.
they served multiple vital purposes beyond just entertainment.
Like the hidden curriculum idea again.
Exactly like that. They were, in essence, a hidden curriculum for survival. They taught invaluable lessons in strategy, self-preservation, how to navigate a treacherous world designed to keep them down. They often emphasized thinking quickly under pressure, watching your environment and your enemies carefully, exploiting the weaknesses of those in power. Br'er Rabbit's successes offered these practical, even if allegorical, blueprints for how to deal with power imbalances.
That's fascinating.
And today, Br'er Rabbit stories are still a vital, cherished part of African-American culture. They're still told to children, they're seen as foundational literary works, and they're embraced as powerful symbols of cleverness, perseverance, and the enduring spirit of overcoming adversity through wit, not brute force. They continue to inspire and teach about the power of the underdog.
From the cunning resilience in tales like Br'er Rabbit, really a testament to overcoming oppression through wit. Let's maybe delve into another incredibly powerful and distinct spiritual tradition. One that also emerged from this blending of cultures, particularly in places like New Orleans, the rich mythology around voodoo.
Yes, this is a truly fascinating area where spiritual traditions didn't just persist, they profoundly shaped a distinct new culture. In regions like New Orleans especially, African spiritual traditions weren't wiped out by the horrors of slavery.
No.
Instead, they were fiercely preserved and profoundly blended or syncretized with Catholicism.
Syncretized.
Yeah, blended together. This led to the formation of what we now widely recognize as New Orleans voodoo, a vibrant religion, incredibly rich with intricate ritual, deep spirit worship, and a complex living mythology. Stories of powerful spirits, magic, supernatural forces, they play a huge integral role in community life and the daily practices of people who follow it.
And the blending with Catholicism was key.
It was crucial. This syncretism allowed African deities, the Orisha or Loa, to find parallels with Catholic saints. This provided a sort of veil of outward conformity while letting people retain their deep ancestral spiritual beliefs underneath.
Like hiding in plain sight.
Kind of, yeah. For instance, the African deity Legba, the opener of gates and crossroads, he became associated with St. Peter, who holds the keys to heaven.
Clever.
Very. And the mythology around voodoo includes this rich pantheon of powerful spirits known as the Loa.
The Loa.
Yeah. These aren't just abstract gods. They're often described as embodying specific aspects of nature or human experience or ancestral wisdom. Each one has its own distinct personality, its own domain, specific powers.
Can you give an example?
Sure. You have Papa Legba, like I mentioned, the wise gatekeeper of the spirit world, the crossroads. You always invoke him first in ceremonies to open the way.
Yeah.
Or maybe Erzulie Freda, who represents love, beauty, prosperity, femininity.
Okay.
These Loa are believed to actively intervene in human affairs. Sometimes they offer guidance or help. Sometimes they deliver warnings. Sometimes they even bring about justice. They're seen as vital go-betweens, intermediaries between the supreme creator and humanity, each with their own unique influence. What's really insightful here is how these stories and the practices that go with them act as this living, breathing link back to ancestral power, back to African heritage. They provide direct guidance, comfort, a profound sense of continuity in a new, often challenging world.
Still relevant today.
Absolutely. They are a testament to the enduring power and remarkable adaptability of African spirituality in the Americas, weaving the past right into the present in this vibrant, living tradition that continues to shape identity and community.
It's truly incredible how those profound spiritual beliefs found a way to not just hang on, but to evolve and blend, creating something entirely new and powerful. Okay, let's cross another border now, physically and culturally, and explore the mystical Americas with Latin American legends. This is a region whose folklore often feels incredibly vibrant and alive, even in contemporary culture.
You're absolutely right. Latin American immigrants bring with them this truly vibrant, extraordinarily diverse array of myths and legends. These narratives are incredibly rich, reflecting a really complex tapestry woven from multiple historical and cultural threads.
Like what kinds of threads?
Well, you've got indigenous beliefs that were there long before colonization. Think Maya, Aztec, Inca traditions going back thousands of years.
Right.
Then you have the profound impact of colonial histories, blending European, particularly Spanish and Portuguese, influences with African traditions brought through slavery,
Okay.
and even contemporary cultural dynamics that continue to shape the stories being told today. It's a dynamic, constantly evolving landscape of storytelling.
And speaking of contemporary, maybe one of the most mysterious and widely recognized creatures to emerge from modern Latin American folklore is El Chupacabra, literally the goat sucker.
Ah, yes, the chupacabra.
I vividly remember when that story first started going around in the 90s. What's the typical description and the kind of fascinating, almost rapid origin of this creature?
Ah, El Chupacabra. It's really a perfect example of a modern phenomenon in folklore, a cryptid that became an instant legend. The name, of course, the goat sucker in Spanish, perfectly captures its main alleged activity.
Right, attacking livestock.
Exactly. It's said to prey on livestock, especially goats, leaving behind this chilling, consistent detail. The animals are found drained of blood.
Creepy.
Very. Its physical description varies wildly, which actually shows you how fluid folklore is. Sometimes it's depicted as this vampiric beast, maybe with spines down its back like a dinosaur, scaly skin, glowing red eyes, moves really fast.
Okay.
Other accounts describe it more like a strange dog or even kangaroo-like.
Yeah.
What's particularly interesting is how recently it emerged and how fast it spread.
When did it start?
The legend really took off in the mid-1990s. The first widely reported sightings were in Puerto Rico around 1995. But then, boom, it spread like wildfire through communities across Latin America and then into the United States, totally fueled by media attention and word of mouth.
Wow, that fast.
Yeah. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, El Chupacabra really shows how folklore adapts and reflects these deep community anxieties, maybe sociocultural shifts, even in our high-tech age. Well, it doesn't have the ancient roots of, say, La Llorona, but its rapid spread and the sheer number of sightings and stories make it a powerful modern myth. It mixes that primal fear, intense curiosity, the unknown, and often seems to tap into contemporary worries.
Like what?
Maybe worries about environmental damage, or conspiracy theories about government experiments, the loss of traditional rural life, or maybe just a general fear of the unexplained, the uncontrollable in modern life. The story offered this tangible, even if mythical, explanation for weird livestock deaths. It gave voice to underlying fears and uncertainties in a way that just resonated deeply and spread incredibly quickly through our increasingly connected world. It shows that even in the age of science, we humans still need mythical explanations for strange things, and we still create new legends.
That's a great point about how new fears can almost immediately take shape in these traditional storytelling forms. Shows folklore really is a living, breathing response to our world. Okay, now let's transition to a story that truly pulls at the heartstrings, one told for generations across Latin America. La Llorona, the weeping woman.
Ah, La Llorona, yes. This is one of the most enduring, poignant, and truly tragic legends in Latin American folklore. There are countless regional variations, but the core is always consistent, always heartbreaking.
What's the basic story?
The central narrative tells of a beautiful woman. Sometimes she's named Maria, sometimes she's nameless, who, in a moment of just utter despair or rage or maybe desperate poverty, she drowned her own children, often in a river or a lake.
Oh, wow.
Consumed by unbearable guilt and profound grief, she's now condemned to wander the earth forever, usually near bodies of water, perpetually crying and searching in vain for her lost children. Her mournful, chilling cries are said to haunt the night, especially near rivers, canals, lonely paths.
And it's used as a warning.
Often, yes. The legend frequently serves as a cautionary tale to children, warning them not to wander out alone at night, because La Llorona might mistake them for her own lost kids.
Killing.
Definitely. But this story is such a profoundly powerful cultural symbol. It's tied deeply to universal themes: motherhood, guilt, loss, the terrible consequences of a terrible act, or overwhelming despair.
Right.
And this raises an important question. Beyond just being a cautionary tale, how did these really somber stories also bind communities together.
Yeah.
How do they convey deeper cultural truths?
Yeah, what's the function beyond scaring kids?
Well, while La Llorona is told to children as a warning, maybe to teach obedience or emphasize the dangers of the night, it functions as much more than just a scare tactic. It's a shared narrative that profoundly binds Latin American communities together, especially in the diaspora, when people are away from their homeland.
How does it bind them?
The universality of the themes, the unbearable pain of loss, the weight of regret, the fierce, sometimes destructive nature of maternal love, the search for justice or redemption. These things resonate deeply. It provides this common emotional and cultural touchstone.
Something everyone understands.
Exactly. It connects generations and reinforces shared cultural values, shared anxieties, and the idea of enduring consequences for tragic choices. It's a somber story, yes, but incredibly unifying because it speaks so directly to the human condition across all borders.
You can almost feel the weight and the deep emotional resonance of that story, even just hearing about it. It's clearly much, much more than just a ghost story. Okay, let's journey eastward now, across vast oceans to tales of ancient power, deep philosophy, and profound prosperity. Let's explore ancient wisdom brought to new shores from Asian traditions, starting maybe with Chinese immigrant legends. These stories are rooted in millennia of history and philosophy.
Indeed. Chinese immigrants have contributed this vast, deeply rich body of folklore, which is just inextricably rooted in thousands of years of recorded history. Philosophical traditions like Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and a whole array of folk religious beliefs.
So very deep roots.
Extremely deep. And when we think of Chinese mythical creatures, one immediately and deservedly comes to mind. The dragon.
Right, the dragon. But different from Western dragons.
Very different. Unlike Western dragons, which were often shown as fearsome, evil, greedy beasts hoarding gold.
Yeah.
The Chinese dragon is almost universally a benevolent, wise, and powerful symbol. They're associated with strength, good fortune, imperial power. They're often depicted bringing rain, good harvests, symbolizing natural forces and cosmic order.
Oh, helpful creatures.
Generally, yes. There are even specific types: celestial dragons guarding the heavens, spiritual dragons controlling wind and rain, earth dragons overseeing rivers, even treasure-guarding dragons, each embodying different aspects of life and fortune.
Wow. Any other key creatures?
Oh, yes. There's the majestic phoenix, symbolizing power, prosperity, wisdom, often said to appear during times of peace. And the kulin, a mythical, sort of unicorn-like beast, signifying good fortune and long life. These creatures aren't just fanciful figures. They embody core cultural values, aspirations, and the way the culture understands the cosmos.
Fascinating.
And beyond these grand mythical creatures, one particularly popular, universally beloved story that's been passed down for centuries is that of the Monkey King, Sun Wukong.
Ah, the Monkey King, from Journey to the West, right?
Exactly, from the classic 16th century novel. The Monkey King's adventures are just filled with incredible cleverness, supernatural powers, unwavering bravery, and this wonderfully rebellious spirit.
Tell us a bit about him.
Well, he's born from magical stone, acquires immense powers, causes absolute chaos in heaven with his defiance.
Sounds fun.
Until he gets humbled. Eventually, he's tasked with protecting a Buddhist monk on this long, difficult journey to India to get sacred scriptures. Along the way, he battles countless demons and challenges, constantly learning, growing.
A classic hero's journey.
Very much so. And what's truly captivating here is how universal these heroic archetypes are, and how his story resonates deeply, maybe especially with immigrant experiences.
Oh, so?
The Monkey King embodies traits that echo across cultures. The underdog challenging authority, the journey of self-improvement and transformation, the ultimate triumph of wit and perseverance over just brute force and adversity. His story is this powerful narrative of redemption, finding your purpose through disciplined struggle.
You can absolutely see why his story would inspire both kids and adults in Chinese American communities. It's about so much more than just magic. It's resilience, ingenuity, self-discovery.
Exactly.
Okay, from benevolent dragons and rebellious heroes, let's journey across the East China Sea to explore Japanese folklore. This sounds like a world populated by a truly diverse array of spirits and monsters.
Oh, it is. Japanese folklore is incredibly diverse, richly detailed, utterly fascinating. It's populated by this astonishing array of beings known collectively as yokai.
Yokai.
Yokai. These are supernatural spirits, monsters, demons, shapeshifters. They literally range from the incredibly mischievous to the truly terrifying. Sometimes they're even humorous.
What forms do they take?
All sorts. They can be shapeshifters, animal spirits, even animated objects. There's a category called Tsukumogami, which are household items that gain sentience after 100 years.
Wow, really? Like a haunted teapot.
Sort of.
Mm.
It teaches respect for objects, not to be wasteful. They can also be ethereal beings that inhabit pretty much every corner of the natural and supernatural world.
And they teach lessons, too.
Absolutely. Much like other folklore, well, one particularly well-known and often beloved figure among the yokai is the kitsune.
The kitsune, the fox spirit.
That's the one. Kitsune are famous for their deep intelligence, long lives, and powerful magic, especially their ability to shapeshift, often into beautiful human forms. They can be depicted with multiple tails. The more tails, the older and more powerful they are. They're complex characters, though.
How so?
They can be cunning tricksters, using their powers to play elaborate pranks or even deceive humans for fun, sometimes leading them astray. But they can also be powerful, benevolent protectors, loyal companions, or wise beings who bring good fortune, even wisdom.
Friend or foe, depends on the story.
Pretty much. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the kitsune powerfully shows how nature, specifically the fox, is intricately intertwined with spiritual beliefs, moral teachings, and that delicate balance of human-nature relationships in Japanese culture.
And these stories are still around.
Oh, vibrantly alive. In Japanese-American festivals, in traditional and modern literature, anime, manga, art, they help maintain a strong cultural connection to heritage in a new land. And they also introduce these rich narratives to broader audiences, which is fascinating to see.
It's clear how these rich, nuanced narratives are kept alive through community, art, pop culture. Okay, next we journey further westward to the Middle East, exploring epic journeys and ancient wisdom that have crossed continents and millennia carried by immigrant communities.
Indeed. Middle Eastern immigrants carry these incredibly rich, ancient oral traditions. They're filled with epic tales, legends, profound religious stories that go back thousands of years. From the enchanting narratives of the Arabian Nights, just brimming with magic and adventure, to foundational biblical and Quranic tales, and the vast epics of ancient Persia. These narratives still resonate deeply within these communities today.
What do they provide?
Spiritual guidance, moral lessons, endless entertainment, of course, and a profound sense of enduring history and collective identity. They really serve as cultural cornerstones.
Okay, let's unpack this. The enchanting world of the Arabian Nights. These stories, like Aladdin, Sinbad, they're known everywhere, often adapted into movies and cartoons. But what's their significance, that deeper meaning, beyond just being fun stories?
Right. The 1001 Nights, or Arabian Nights as it's more commonly known, it's this truly iconic collection.
Yeah.
Middle Eastern, South Asian folk tales, fables, romances, all compiled in Arabic during the Islamic Golden Age.
A long time ago.
A very long time ago. And yes, iconic stories like Aladdin and his lamp, Sinbad the Sailor's incredible voyages, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. They've enchanted generations worldwide. They're staples in world literature.
So what more than just entertainment?
Oh, absolutely. Beyond their sheer entertainment value, these tales are extraordinarily rich with symbolism, profound lessons. The magic lamps, the powerful genie, the adventurous journeys, they don't just add wonder. They symbolize things like hope in desperate times, the unexpected twists of fate, the power of being resourceful, and the enduring triumph of cleverness and perseverance against huge challenges. They often feature characters from all walks of life, paupers to kings, and explore universal themes: justice, fate, human ingenuity, cunning, the consequences of your moral choices. Even the framing story itself, Scheherazade telling tales night after night to save her own life, speaks volumes about the power of storytelling.
That's a great point.
And in the U.S., these stories are way more than just books or movies. They're often retold at cultural events, community gatherings, and intimate family circles. They serve as this vital cultural anchor.
How so?
They provide a shared narrative framework, a common cultural touchstone that helps connect younger generations, sometimes kids who are many generations removed from the ancestral lands, with their heritage. It's a beloved way for parents, grandparents to share the values, the wit, the humor, the boundless imagination of their ancestors. It creates this vibrant, living bridge between their homeland and their new life in America. Fosters a sense of shared legacy, cultural pride.
And beyond the famous nights, there are these truly heroic epics that echo through time, really defining Middle Eastern mythology. What's truly captivating here is digging into Persian mythology and these monumental works, like the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings.
Yes, the Shahnameh. It's not just a collection of stories, it's the national epic of Iran. A monumental poetic work by the revered Persian poet Ferdowsi, composed between about 977 and 1010 CE.
Wow, that's old.
Incredibly old. It's an epic poem of staggering length, over 60,000 couplets, filled with heroic kings, legendary warriors, fantastical mythical creatures. It meticulously chronicles the mythical and historical past of Iran, from the creation of the world through ancient Persian empires right up to the Arab conquest of Persia in the 7th century. It's the foundational text of Persian identity, history, cultural memory.
And who's the main hero?
A central figure, and one of the most beloved, is Rostam, the greatest of the Persian heroes, known for his immense strength, his unwavering bravery, his profound loyalty. His tales, like his epic battles against dragons and demons, or his really tragic encounters with his own son, Sohrab, teach these timeless virtues. Courage against overwhelming odds, honor in battle, personal sacrifice, an unshakable commitment to justice, and defending your land and people. It's a narrative that really shapes character and instills values.
And how is it kept alive today?
Persian American communities continue to celebrate these myths with immense pride, profound reverence. They're kept vibrantly alive through poetry readings, elaborate storytelling sessions, theatrical performances, and major cultural festivals like Nowruz, the Persian New Year.
Right.
These celebrations create this tangible, vibrant bridge between ancient Persia and modern America. They ensure that the wisdom, the heroism, the deep cultural depth of their ancestors aren't forgotten, but actively integrated into contemporary lives. What's really insightful here is the way these stories live on and find new life in modern art forms. They inspire contemporary artists, filmmakers, musicians, writers to reinterpret these ancient narratives, constantly finding new expressions, continuing to connect younger generations to their rich, millennia-old heritage.
It's genuinely amazing to see how these ancient narratives stay so potent, so adaptable, influencing new creative work. So, okay, after all this rich discussion, what does this all really mean for America today? How does this incredible, vast tapestry of immigrant folklore actually manifest and truly impact contemporary American culture? Because it's clearly not just stuck in private family homes or ethnic neighborhoods anymore.
That's exactly right. The influence of immigrant folklore extends far, far beyond just individual communities. It profoundly permeates and enriches the broader American culture in numerous ways, often quite subtle ways. It truly demonstrates that melting pot idea we started with, but maybe more accurately, it's like a cultural mosaic effect.
A mosaic, yeah, I like that better.
Where distinct pieces contribute to this beautiful, complex whole. It's a powerful testament to how these traditions have moved from maybe the edges to become an integral, celebrated part of the wider cultural landscape.
So where do we see this most clearly?
Well, one of the most visible, most dynamic areas is definitely through festivals and celebrations.
Yeah.
Think about the explosion of color and energy at Chinese New Year parades in big cities, the dragon dances, the lion dances, bringing ancient myths right onto the city streets.
Right.
Or consider the deeply moving, incredibly artistic altars for Dia de los Muertos, celebrating life and ancestors in Latin American communities, which have become much more widely known and appreciated. Or that pervasive sea of green and joyful music on St. Patrick's Day. It started as an Irish immigrant celebration, but now it's embraced by millions of Americans from all kinds of backgrounds. Or the communal feasts, the shared joy of Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha in Muslim communities, which are becoming more visible. These events, deeply rooted in immigrant myths and traditions, they aren't just for specific communities anymore. They bring immigrant folklore and the values behind it to a broader American audience. They foster cultural appreciation, mutual understanding, shared experience. They allow everyone to participate and learn.
And it feels like literature, film, other media are also playing a huge role in spreading this, almost bringing these stories right into our living rooms.
Absolutely. There's an ever-increasing, really exciting exploration of immigrant stories and myth in mainstream books, movies, TV shows, graphic novels. You name it.
Yeah.
Authors from diverse backgrounds are drawing deeply on their heritage to create compelling narratives, weaving traditional folklore elements into contemporary settings. Filmmakers are bringing these creatures, these legends, to the big and small screen, maybe a modern retelling of a classic myth, or totally new stories infused with ancestral wisdom.
Making them accessible.
Exactly. This widespread media exposure introduces these rich traditions to wider audiences who might never encounter them otherwise. And that leads to greater cultural awareness, empathy, appreciation. It helps normalize and celebrate these diverse narratives as just part of the American story.
And what about more formal institutions, like schools or museums?
Ah, yes. Education and museums are absolutely vital in this process of preserving and spreading this knowledge. This raises that important question. How do we make sure these precious tales aren't lost to time or just stay within specific isolated communities?
Right.
Institutions like museums, universities, public libraries, cultural centers, they play a crucial active role. They showcase immigrant folklore through dedicated exhibitions, comprehensive educational programs, essential oral history projects where they record elders telling these stories.
Feels so important.
It is. They're actively working to preserve these stories, document how they change, and make them accessible for future generations. They ensure the legacy lasts beyond just word of mouth, securing their place in our academic and cultural records.
And finally, it's just abundantly clear how deeply folklore continues to inspire contemporary artists and musicians, continually blending those traditional themes with very modern expression.
Yes, this is where the dynamic, living nature of folklore really shines. Artists, musicians, across all genres, are constantly reinterpreting these traditional themes and figures.
Where do we see that?
You see it in visual art paintings, sculptures, street murals drawing inspiration from mythical creatures or folk heroes. You hear it in song lyrics, from hip-hop to indie folk, where traditional tales get a modern voice or twist. You see it in contemporary dance, in theater performances that explore these narratives through movement and new drama.
Taking the old and making it new.
Exactly. They take the foundational stories, the ancient archetypes, and they infuse them with contemporary concerns, modern artistic sensibilities. This ensures that these ancient narratives keep speaking to new audiences in new ways, creating this continuous, vibrant cultural dialogue. This constant reinterpretation is what keeps the folklore alive, evolving, and profoundly relevant in our modern world.
What an incredible, truly expansive journey we've taken today, right through the heart of America's cultural landscape. We've gone from mischievous leprechauns changing with their new homes and kindly gift-giving witches, to cunning rabbits outsmarting their oppressors and the heartbreaking cries of weeping women. We've explored benevolent dragons symbolizing prosperity, mischievous shape-shifting foxes, noble, heroic kings from ancient epics, and even that mysterious modern goatsucker.
Quite the tour.
It really was. And each story, whether it's ancient or newly formed, carries those vibrant echoes of home, echoes of struggles endured, values cherished, and dreams fiercely pursued across continents and generations.
And by immersing ourselves in these tales, we gain not only entertainment, but also this profound, nuanced insight into the universal human experience. Across borders, across generations, it reminds us of that inherent human need for meaning, for connection, for cultural continuity, and for the wisdom we glean on how to navigate the complexities of life. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about finding those universal truths, those shared human conditions hidden within unique, distinct narratives. These stories, whether ancient or modern, whether they're whispered or shouted, they're just this powerful testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. The power to remember, to adapt, and to continuously redefine itself.
They truly do. They remind us that beneath the surface of all our beautiful diversity, all the different ways we express our cultural heritage, there lies this shared fundamental love for storytelling. It's like a universal language that connects us all, giving voice to our fears, our hopes, our deepest values.
Well said.
So after today's exploration, maybe the question for you, our listener, is what story will you seek out next to deepen your understanding of the American experience? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the rich and incredibly diverse folklore of America's immigrant communities.
Thank you.
We sincerely hope these stories continue to inspire, to teach, and perhaps most importantly, to unite us in the years to come.